In terms of the cosecant of a positive acute angle, what is the expression for cosecant of 240 degrees? Right, so let's go ahead and draw us a pair of axes and label our quadrants. So 90, 180, 270, then all the way back around for 360. Okay, so the first thing I would do is let's go ahead and draw our angle 240 degrees. This angle here has a reference angle of 60 degrees. So if we look at our angle 60 degrees in quadrant 1, they share the same reference angle. Okay, now that we know that they share the same reference angle, we want an angle in quadrant 1 that puts us in quadrant 3. Now that we know what the reference angle is for angle 240 degrees, let's think about how this works for a second. So we've got cosecant of 240 degrees, and if we draw that, the angle is telling us to point at 240, and the fact that this is positive is telling us to walk in the direction we're facing. Okay, now let's look at negative cosecant of 60 degrees. Okay, so the direction 60 degrees tells us to point this way at 60 degrees, but the negative in front of the trig function tells us instead of walking forward, we're going to walk backwards. So notice that both of these end in the same position, and we got there this way by pointing in the direction and walking forward, and we got there this way by pointing in the opposite direction and walking backwards. Then we could also have cosecant of 240. Let's go ahead and make this negative. So if we drew this, again, the angle is telling us which direction to look. So we're looking at 240. But then the negative in front tells us to walk backwards, which would put us up here in quadrant 1. And then if we look at the cosecant of 60 degrees, the angle again tells us which way to face. So it tells us to face at 60 degrees. But then the sign tells us to actually walk in that direction. So that puts us in quadrant 1. So technically, we could say that the negative cosecant of 240 degrees and the cosecant of 60 degrees are equivalent when you think about them terminally. They terminate in the same spot, therefore they, in a sense, are coterminal. We could also say the same thing about these two angles. They terminate in the exact same spot. So this question is asking us to find an angle between 0 and 90 degrees that terminates in the same spot as this 240-degree angle, which would be our angle right here, or our trig function right here, negative cosecant of 60 degrees, which has us point in the direction of 60 degrees. So it has us pointing in the right direction between 0 and 90 degrees. But the negative tells us to walk backwards and puts us ending at the same exact spot as the angle that it gave us. So in that sense, these two angles terminate together, same spot. And this is the answer that Newton is looking for.